What's going on, guys? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis on NIO. How are the NIO bulls doing? So I wanted to just start off this video with a very important disclaimer that these videos that I'm putting out, they're just my analysis, they're just my opinion, and it should be taken as entertainment. Do your own due diligence and your own research if you're going to be making a financial decision on anything. That should be common sense, but I'm just going to go out there and say that. But having said that, I've been tracking NIO now over the past year, and some of my analysis has been spot on and right, and some of it has been wrong, and I'll own up to that. Not every time am I going to be right, especially with a heavily manipulated stock like NIO. I'm here to share with you some of my analysis and what I'm looking at going into next week. Now, before I begin and talk about anything else as far as technical analysis, which is what we're going to talk about, once again, it needs to be said, thank you, and truly, truly thank you to all those who have been supporting my videos, giving me the thumbs up, subscribing to my video, and most importantly, engaging with my videos, asking me questions in the comment sections below. I appreciate that. I really, really, really enjoy having those questions being asked. So it feels like a conversation and I'm not just talking to a wall. So please do ask questions. If you don't even have a question and you just want to just show your appreciation and drop a comment section below, please do. I would appreciate that very, very much. Now, having said that, let's dive in and talk about what we talked about last week. And I think it needs to be a fresh reminder for everybody about this is what I call the trend line strategy approach, where you draw out a trend line, you set an alert, which I already did. You can see a clock here, and just walk away. Now, again, this is not really an ad for TradingView. It just so happens to be that TradingView is the trading app that I use to actually track the price movement. Again, there's so many great ones out there. It's not an ad, but I'm pretty sure some of the other trading apps that are out there will let you draw a simple trend line and set an alert. Specifically with TradingView, it lets you actually have it notify within the app. It can send an email. It'll also play a sound, and you can even have it send you a text message. Let the price action come to you, so that you don't actually feel like you're just like watching the ticker 24/7, watching the price action. It's very important to let the stock work for you, and you don't want to be working for that stock. So you got to go about your day-to-day basis. If you've already pulled the trigger and you've bought the stock and now you're waiting for that big move to kind of go up, set the alert and walk away. Let the stock work for you. Don't let it drive you crazy, and that's what these stock algorithms try and do while they draw out this price action. Now, having said that, NIO is approaching a very, very critical trend line here. If broken, could lead to a massive, massive move up. This thing has been in a downtrend since August 2023, and if and when this thing finally breaks above that trend line, it will probably do it in a stylish, historical fashion with a big green candle. Now, I'm here to talk about the velocity and what I'm watching. And I like what I see on the 2 hour, currently on that 2 hour time frame, we have a higher high. This indicates that there's a potential for this rally that we're seeing for further gains. Now, I didn't answer a couple of questions from my last video, but one guy asked me a really important question. He asked me, he said, "Hey, Laser, I noticed that the velocity broke on the 24 hours. Why is it that it's different that we're looking at the 2 hours?" The reason why we do this is, yes, it has broken on the 24 hours. Imagine this. We've got, and I'm just using this headline as a reference, we've got that break, and after every break, there's that pullback. If I were to smooth this whole line out, we got the break, and now we got that pullback. Now, the reason we dive into the 2 hours is we try and catch that move before you get that daily signal. It'll come in a lot quicker. And oftentimes you get that once things start looking bullish on the 2 hour time frame, which it started doing last week. We got that velocity break on that 2 hours, which would indicate that on the 24 hours, things are going to start curling up. Now, again, going back to that 24 hour time frame, we do need to see, and there's too many lines here. we are going to, even though we got that, we are going to want to see it break back above here. And the reason we watch the 2 hours is we can kind of watch to see when that momentum shifted. And the momentum did shift for the bulls. We definitely had that momentum shift. I'm sure, I know you guys can all tell that we're getting now more of an upwards price action move here. Now, I don't want to rule out any potential upcoming dips or any fake outs. The most important thing was the most important trend line that you all need to be watching is this one right over here. Until we break above that, you're not out of the clear. If it actually does come up here and reject, you could potentially see the lows being swept, which was one of my analysis from last week. I said you might get that move up, which is what it is, and it might come back down, sweep the lows, and then it goes right. Now, I want to talk about real quick here that if this breaks out next week, and when this breaks out next week, you could see a move similar to Peloton. Peloton was actually in a much longer downtrend. Much longer. I mean, it's been in a downtrend since February. I think it's been in a downtrend like a few months even longer. And notice that when it finally gave you that big move above, it did it in like spectacular fashion. Mind you, it happened on earnings, but and I think they were like profitable, but like you got like a 30-40% move. Now, I do anticipate this to give, that nice pullback if it does want to kind of move further. So when we go back to NIO, if you're sitting on dry powder and you're wondering if we should dollar cost average in, I mean, there's no right way to do it. You could certainly get into these levels anticipating kind of a bigger move, or you could wait to see if the lows get swept. But if it breaks up above and you get like that similar move like Peloton where you get that huge move, it's not just going to continue to go straight up in a straight line. It'll kind of bounce around in a range, and it'll give you an option to kind of like get in on a dip before it goes higher. And that could be where you can consider adding in for a, if you have some dry powder to kind of add into NIO. Now, I wanted to talk about, again, if a situation like this happens, it's very important to exercise patience. It's been in a downtrend for almost, I guess, over a year now. When this breaks out, I don't personally see this going up in a straight line. I see it doing something close to the way I drew out like this. You might even see it just tickle right above here and do this for a bit, confusing some people before it wants to move. You're going to get that consolidation range after the breakout before it legs up again. And this is where you're going to want to exercise patience. This is where likely a lot of people who are kind of antsy and watching the stock will probably be like, all right, I'm out. I don't want to actually see another lower low come. But this is, in my opinion, the time to get even more confident because it's finally breaking out of a 1-year downtrend on the log scale. So exercising patience could potentially set you up for an even bigger move on NIO. What move, you ask? This leads me into the Fibonacci retracement. We talk about this in all of my videos, but it's important because this question gets asked a lot. Like, hey, what kind of price ranges are you expecting actually? And so when we get that break here, the first level of like retracement here is it takes us to $8.40, $9.88 for the 50% retrace, and as well as that golden pocket right around 11, pretty much right around $12. This is where I see things kind of going when that move breaks. That's a really big move. So just understand, like, big moves like this don't happen every single day in the stock market. And if you're going to try and catch one of these moves, you got to, the stock's going to look pretty ugly before it makes kind of like a big move like that. Just look at the last 100%-ish rally that it made, a 130% rally. The stock didn't look great. It was bouncing from the lowest lows. It swept the lows before things kind of took off. We might see something like that. Again, we're not out of the woods of the lows being swept until this breaks. This is a critical level. If it does not break, expect the lows to be swept. So again, I want you guys, everybody in this stock, manage your expectations and prepare for the stock to take time to fully break out. You got to exercise patience. There is a potential for lower lows. if this doesn't break. This will be the perfect spot for it to kind of get slammed right back down and have the low swept. So just mentally prepare for that as being a possibility. The velocity says, when I look at the velocity, I don't see that move actually happening, and I do see a breakout happening. But like anything, nothing's a guarantee. So you do want to be very, very careful. Now, having said all of that, there are some other factors at play. The Hang Seng index, as well as Alibaba. I don't know if you guys heard of the good news on Alibaba. We'll talk about Alibaba real quick here. And I have them side by side. I find that when Baba goes up, so does NIO. When Baba goes down, so does NIO. And I think they're like in the same kind of like, they move in sync together. They're Chinese equities when the Hang Seng gets lifted. So anyways, the big news, the most important thing is Baba has, and you can even see right here, there's a Hong Kong listing where Chinese investors can now finally buy into Hong Kong. They applied for some sort of special approval that allows Chinese investors to buy Alibaba. This could result in billions of dollars flowing into Baba, which could see a huge spike. Now, if Baba rises, it's going to have a positive impact on the Hang Seng. If Hang Seng rises, that's going to have a positive impact on NIO. So I think that's really good news. If you're a bull for NIO, you should be a bull for Baba, and you should want to see Baba do well because it's going to help. It all plays an important role here. Now, when I look at the analysis here on Baba on a 24-hour time frame on the Hang Seng, it gave you now finally a breakout on the 24-hour moving average. That is huge. That is signaling that things are ready to shift from bears to bulls. You can see when we were under, what happened to the price action. Now that we're over, you can almost already see it. And so things look really, really good. There will be, I think, like that pullback potential, which could line up with a NIO pullback. But having said that, I like what I see. There are some other factors here. I want to talk about the Dixie. The Dixie is breaking down, which is the US dollar. It's currently at 100. It's dropped like 3%. If you were sitting on a cash position and you were scared and you just didn't invest anything, you just lost 3% sitting on US dollars. The US dollar is losing money, and it broke through a huge support line here, which is signaling a pretty there's going to be an even bigger move down. So there's a risk now of just sitting on a cash position. You may want to actually consider having some sort of position in the stock market to protect yourself from just that cash losing value. There are some analysts are anticipating this thing going down as low as $90 before a reversal, which could be another 10% drop here. So that's just one little factor. But again, when the US dollar goes down, people can't sit on cash. They gotta flow the money into equities. And that's why we're seeing like a big rally that's happening across the market, and money's flowing right back into the markets. And then there's the Chinese dollar relative to yuan. It's like at a very, very low level, which is super important for the Hang Seng rally to kind of take place. I'm not going to do a deep dive analysis here because I'm pretty much wrapping up towards the end of my video here. I hope that the points that I covered should help you kind of stay on track and manage your expectations as to what to expect going into next week for NIO. This pretty much wraps up my video. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Again, I want to remind you guys, any questions, drop it in the comment section below. If you can, don't forget to give me the thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube video if you want to be first to get notifications for when my videos come out live. Thank you again for watching my video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and cheers and take care.